Hey, Kaylee, how you doing? Great to see you again.
Yeah, love the Tuesday tune-ups.
I know they're awesome. Hey, where do we find you? You're in a cool environment there.
Oh, this is my home. It's Passage Island between Bowen and West Vancouver.
Looks
And,
beautiful.
boat access only, so it's a little isolate destination.
So if you ever have like a retreat there, people have to swim over. Is that the deal?
Yeah, exactly. Or paddle.
Yeah, do that too. Okay, today let's talk about cash flow because you mentioned that in our first episode, and it occurred to me and a number of us that we're not really sure what cash flow is and how it can get us out of this sort of hole that we're in to recover from the COVID crisis. So, what is cash flow and how does it factor into a recovery?
Yeah. So, Greg, I think the first step to understand what cash flow is to understand that there's a difference between profit and cash flow. And so I'll start by describing profit because it'll help us to describe cash flow after. And the easiest way I can describe it is, well, for us oldies that were around with the Pac-Man video game, but for everybody else, it was a video game that had coins coming down and the Pac-Mans would eat it. And so I was describing the concept of profit and cash flow to my team. And one of my team members said, oh, so it's kind of like the game Pac-Man where the money comes in and it starts getting eaten up. And I'm like, exactly. So you have income, so all your sales in the salon, and then you have payroll and you have all your expenses. And after that, you have profit. And so that is the money that was made after all of the sales and all of the expenses. But where we get really confused is we think that the profit is available to take out and go in our pocket. And that's what our team thinks too, right? They think all of this money goes into the pocket of the owner. And it's not true. So out of profit, there's more Pac-Mans that eat it up. So the profit has to pay for other things, such as your loan repayment. Your loan repayment is not a business expense. It's the government wants after-tax money. So you have to pay tax on your profit first, so money goes to tax. You have to pay for your loan repayment, and you have to pay for new inventory supplies or that new hot water tank. And so all of this profit can get tied up into other things. And so you could look and see, oh, I made $10,000, but there's no money in my bank.
Right.
Why? Why is there no money in bank? It's so confusing, right? It says in my financial statements that I made $10,000. Where is it? Well, it probably went back into your company. It probably bought more supplies. And so that's where we go into cash flow. So cash flow is that available cash. It's cash that you have ready to use.
Gotcha.
Okay. So are you with me or should we break?
Yeah, it's kind of like if you were going, like I hike a lot and I always say, how much water do I have? And when my water bottle is like down like here, I know I have to start thinking about turning back, especially if it's really hot. And as opposed to kind of like walking all the way into the woods and realizing I have nothing to drink and I just don't want to end up there dehydrated out of water. I guess sort of the same idea, right? You have to have sort of.
Yeah, it doesn't mean your whole source of water is gone,
Right.
but it just means that it's not available at the moment. So you may have to sell off some more retail to get some of that cash back.
Right. Trade my hiking shoes for someone else's water bottle.
Yeah, you could do that too. So basically, your cash flow, that's why they say cash is king, right? Because you need the money to be able to pay the government. You can't pay the government with your hot water tank. They're not going to tank your hot water tank. So even though that's coming out of profit and that's money that you gained value, at the end of the day, it's not available for you to use. And that's the number one reason all business, not just hair salons, that's number one reason all businesses fail. Think of a big contracting company who has to pay all of their contractors, but they haven't been paid yet.
Right.
And so they're putting out all of this cash, and yes, they're going to get the money, but they don't have it yet. And that can get them into big trouble, right?
Yeah.
So it's really looking at your cash flow statements, which most salon owners are not looking at any of their bookkeeping documents, right? They just let the bookkeeper give it to them. The accountant files it, they put it on the shelf. You know who you are if that's
Yeah.
you, right? We don't want you to do this anymore. There's statements that you can look at that will show you if you're going to run out of cash and
Gotcha.
when you're going to run out of cash and how you're going to recover from that.
Right. So just the same way an airplane has to have enough fuel to make it to its destination and enough to circle the airport if they can't land right away or something. I get this impression that cash flow is kind of like a cushion, a little bit of an elastic, right? If you were bungee jumping, it gives you that extra little bit of grace to kind of do what you want to do and then come back. Is that sort of a way of putting it? Almost like when you talked about the contractor, if you were to buy inventory, you have to purchase the inventory to put on your shelf, but until you sell it, you don't actually realize the cash. It doesn't flow back to you until you've sold it, right?
Yes, exactly. So although you are going to make profit off of that, you haven't made it yet. So it's not there for you to use. What's interesting about the COVID situation is that a lot, when you organize your closet or you organize something in your house, you have to like pull it all out. It gets messier first before it gets better.
Yep.
That's kind of what is happening in salons with their financials right now.
Gotcha.
Is it's going to get uglier before it gets better.
Right.
And so because we're going to catch up with all of this loss that we've had over the last few months of being closed. And so when I've been looking at the forecast, the financial forecast, some bank accounts will dip to minus 40,000 before they start going up again.
Right.
But the cool thing is when we look ahead, we can see, yes, it will go up ahead. It will go up again.
Yeah.
Or will it? Maybe it won't. We need to know that either way. And so we'll see exactly how that will recover. So some people have this $40,000 loan and they're using it, but they don't even know that their bank account 3 months from now is going to be at minus 40 grand, right? Where they needed to keep that cash in there to fluctuate their lowest low and be able to come back to profit again.
Exactly. Sort of like a credit card, right? Yeah, it seems really easy at the time, but then the bill comes. And unless you have the cash to pay the bill, now you're stuck with debt, which is a real problem.
Real problem. Yeah.
So that's the idea.
How do we make that fun? How do we make that fun? Like,
I don't know.
How do we make this more fun?
Yeah, I know. Like, okay, so let's say I own a salon and I really want to take a vacation after all this is done. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm sort of mentally drained. I just want to go and, I don't know, maybe go to Bowen Island or something, or like take a little vacation for personal reasons, for mental health reasons. How do I look at cash flow as kind of a ticket to that? Like, how do I look at cash flow as a way out of my current situation of working hard, maybe worrying about money a lot, not being able to operate at full capacity, recovering from the closure? How can cash flow help me achieve my dream?
Well, Greg, the way I look at it, and I've always looked at it, is I'm allergic to debt. It just gives me like hives. I can't handle it unless it's investment debt, right? Like I'm okay with the mortgage on your house. It's getting you something that could be more valuable in the future. But like a vacation on debt, it just makes me like break out in hives. And that's how I want everybody to get, because you're going to enjoy that break so much more when you've earned it before. I don't know how many times I've seen team members come back from holidays and they're working to pay that past holiday. And what a drag. It takes the joy out of what you're doing. It takes the fun out of your work. Like when you're actually working towards something, it makes your work more enjoyable and it makes that trip more enjoyable. And you only pay for the trip once instead of paying it for it 3 times. So I would say, get ahead of it and really have more money than you need, right? People are like, they don't want to talk about money. They don't really want money, or they think they want money, but they're kind of like adverse to getting money. And I just you actually have to think about money more when you're acting like that than if you actually have more than you need. Now you can make decisions based on, what do I actually want to do?
Right.
What do I actually enjoy doing? And, you can just do the stuff without having to think, can I afford it? So start building yourself up to a position where you have more than you need. And then you can take those trips, and you can do what you want. You can have control over your life. It's pretty cool.
Right. And so it's almost, I love it. It's like you're almost living a bit more like ahead, like in the future, as opposed to making up for everything in the past. And that can be really hard. It's like shoveling water. It's like trying to, I don't know, it's so hard to sort of patch what is in the past, because that's already gone. You have no control over it, as opposed to say, no, I'm gonna earn the ability, or have the right or the privilege to be able to go and make my own decisions, and whatever that may be, right? It could be, I want a new camera for my salon for better Instagram pictures. I need a vacation. I would love to give my receptionist a raise. Like, there are so many places where you could utilize that freedom, right?
Well, it's so empowering. It's just
Mm,
empowering to know that you're making your own decisions. You're not like indebted. That's the word, indebted, right? Like, you're not indebted to anybody.
right.
So there's nothing controlling you. And I think, like, all of us artists, all of you listeners, you're artists, you're free. Like, in order to be really free, you need to have money, right? Because you need to be able to walk out of a situation that you're not happy in. You
Yeah.
need to be able to leave a job that's not working for you. And if you're always controlled by that next debt payment, that next payment that's coming out, you can't make those decisions that are really like what your soul wants, right? So that's the way I look at money. It's like, have enough that I don't need to think about it, and I
Right.
can just make the decision I want to make. And that's where it gets fun, right? That's where,
Yeah.
like, it's really fun, and it's not that hard. It's actually not that hard. Like, I live in Vancouver. I was a hairstylist. I made my living as a hairstylist. And we own real estate in Vancouver. I have no debt. Like, it's not really that hard. You just have to have that principle that you live by.
Yeah.
So
Love it. So it's very liberating. I mean, really, it truly is. There's really no reason why everybody listening can't achieve that. I don't think, at least with a bit of discipline. So real quick, then, what should our listeners look for? What should they ask their bookkeeper for? What should you talk about the cash flow statement? We never look at it. Just briefly, how do we sort of begin to dig into that? Like, what do we ask for from our bookkeeper, and what should it
uh,
look like? Like, what's the magic number we're sort of looking for?
so there's three documents that we need from our bookkeeper. It's our P&L, our balance sheet, and our cash flow statement. And they're in a different language. It's like learning Portuguese, or it's just like learning another language. And so that's I don't to give myself a little plug here, but that's what my course is. The
Right.
Salon Profit Project is to teach you how to interpret that. And we also do a profit plan, which will show you exactly how much cash you're going to have in your bank a year from now. And if you don't like the way that looks, then I can show you how to influence change, right?
Love
Whereas
that.
if we wait till next year and we just have minus $50,000 in our bank, that's just where we are, and we have to deal with that, right? If
Yeah.
we look now, what are we going to have in our bank next year, and we see minus 50,000, we can influence change by putting in strategies to grow our business or to reduce expenses, to make changes. So that's why, Greg, I'm so passionate about this, about getting this information out to people,
Yeah.
because it's a difference maker. Like, it's actually life-changing, right?
Mm.
It's just, you can go learn a new haircut and be motivated, or you can learn, there's so many things in the industry that are like more sexy to learn about, like
Right.
a cool pop-up photo shoot, use your camera for Instagram. Like, there's so many fun things you can learn. But this, when you learn it, yeah, it's a little bit boring up front, but it's life-changing,
Right.
because you're not going to be down 50 grand. You're going to be up 50 grand, or whatever that goal is. You can influence that. And that's the cool part. It's empowering.
Yeah, I love it. And it empowers you to do whatever it is you want, right? Sometimes we look at money and we go, what do I do with it? Or I don't understand how that sort of relates to what my dream is or what I want to achieve. And it can be the simplest thing, like, I just want to fix that squeaky door in the back, right? And I need $1,000 to get that done. Or it could be, I want to open a second location, and that's 50 grand or
Yeah.
100 grand or whatever it is. Or I want to buy out my business partner or pay off my Uncle Bob who gave me my startup cash. So that's really where, you kind of unchain yourself from all of these things and be able to move ahead, right? And that's kind of the freedom that I see in that.
Yeah, and it's great for your team too. It's not even a selfish thing. Like, maybe you have a stellar team member that deserves a raise, or maybe you want to take them all on a retreat this year and really, like, wow them, right? And that all takes money. So we need to take off this negative view about making money and look at all the positive things it can do for us.
Yeah, love it. Kaylee, it's always so great to chat with you. Um,
Thanks, Greg.
Enjoy your beautiful place there on the island and have a wonderful day. And we'll chat again next week.
Awesome. Thanks. We'll see you next week. Bye,
Sure. Bye.
everyone.
See ya.